Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. After 25 years of negotiations, one of the world's largest trade agreement is finally, at least partially, coming to force, linking the European Union with South America's Mercosur bloc in a move that blends economics with geopolitics. But with legal uncertainty and political backlash, especially in countries like Poland, questions remain about winners and losers. Joining us today on TVP World to break this down is Artur Nowak-Far, a professor at the Warsaw School of Economics, specializing in EU economic policy and international trade. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Good evening.
So, after 25 years of negotiations, why is the European Union choosing to implement the deal provisionally now? And what changed politically and economically?
Well, the trick is that the European Union or the European Commission is now triggering only a part of the deal, that is the interim agreement. The trick is that, the European Commission can do it itself on its own without the member states. Whereas the entire agreement, in order to be enforced, fully enforced, will have to follow the ratification procedures in each and every of the 27 member states. And that is time-consuming. The European Commission, would like to bring the benefits of the agreement as soon as possible.
And now, is this agreement primarily about economics, or there's also dynamics about geopolitics involved, and also the attempt to reduce dependency on the United States and China?
Well, the agreement, the trade agreement of such a magnitude like the Mercosur European Union agreement has not only the trade or economic dimension, but it has also the geopolitical dimension. It creates a very big and quite powerful free trade zone, and that has a transatlantic dimension. It is going to increase the trade between all the member states of the Mercosur, as well all the member states of the European Union, and that is not without any a significant ramification to the trade between the European Union and the USA, and as well as with China.
Now, how stable is the deal legally in its more provisional form? Is there a possibility that it could still be either blocked or reversed?
Well, it is very unlikely that it will be reversed. However, it can be blocked. And, Poland is one of the member states which support the case against the case brought before the European Court of Justice, where the court is called by the member states to verify whether the interim agreement and the entire agreement is in line with the European Union law.
Now, of course, there's a lot of political debate about who this benefits and what sector is going to be impacted the most. One of the more prominent voices are Polish farmers as well. Are concerns about cheap import justified, or do you think some of these kind of outrage are a little bit overstated?
Much of it is overstated. A very good example of the overstatement, or a mishmash, actually, of the argumentation is the Polish poultry sector. Polish poultry sector is believed by many to be on the losing side, whereas that is absolutely not true, because even now the Polish poultry sector is benefiting from the trade with Mercosur, even without the agreement, because they are buying the feed for the animals at a very low price and high quality, or relatively high quality. And without Mercosur, that may not be continued. Where it is Mercosur is going to contribute to the to the increase of trade in this sector. In other words, Polish poultry farmers, poultry businesses complain, but they do not have much reason to do that.
So, to what extent can Polish industries benefit? Some of the concerns are that these gains are likely to concentrated in larger EU economies. Is that a fair take?
No, no, that's totally skewed, because the point is that it is going to benefit more the industry than agriculture. And agriculture is subject to certain risks arising from Mercosur. That is the point. We have to look at the specific sectors rather than the states. If we do look at the states, we are going to miss the picture.
Right. So, speaking about specific sectors to look at and pay attention to, what do you think is going to be the sector that benefits the most from this deal?
Well, on the Polish side, that is going to be machinery and chemical industries. And the point is that these two sectors are number one and two in Polish exports altogether. So they're going to be stronger. And once they are stronger, then, it is going to, I believe, benefit indirectly the whole economy, including the agricultural sector.
So, do you think that this will actually strengthen Poland's role in the entire EU supply chains, or are we potentially seeing other form of economic division within the bloc?
Well, it increases the opportunities, it increases the possibilities. The Polish policy should be, and it is actually, to move on with the value chain so that we are producing goods and exporting goods which are closer to the final user. The more you are closer to the final user with your products or services, the better the margins, the better the price premium are for you, and that is going to be beneficial for the economy. But the Mercosur agreement creates only an opportunity. What we'll do with that opportunity is a different matter. It is up to the national economic policies to somehow promote that moving on with the value chain issue.
Right, that's a very good point. The doors are open, but whether or not you want to pass through it fast, slow, in whichever way, still depend on the industry and how the policy is going forward. Now, there's also concern about potentially undermining EU standards with this deal, saying that perhaps some of these agricultural products or products made in the Mercosur deal is not up to the standard of the European Union. Do you think that is a valid criticism?
No, it's a mythology, because the agreement specifies directly and without any doubt that whatever is being brought onto the EU market will have to meet the EU standards. And that especially applies to the agricultural goods, foodstuff, and so on. So we, as European consumers, won't be exposed to any inferior quality goods, which might create some hazards. Quite the opposite. I think that the European Union will have a better or more powerful impact on what's going on in the internal Mercosur market, because the more they export to European Union, the more they will have to learn the European Union standards, and the more they would be able to offer the European Union standard, which is very high, very good for the consumers, to their own consumers in the Latin America.
All right. What about the point of competitiveness? So, and again, some people who are against the deal says that, well, in Latin American countries, without some environmental regulations when it comes to agriculture or center of production, perhaps the final product is of good quality, but the process of itself will allow them to produce in much larger quantities, thus being a lot more competitive than European product. Is that a concern, or is that something that the European manufacturers or the farmers now need to contend with?
That might be a risk of it, but not a very big one. And besides, there are safety valves in the agreement. Whenever we see unfair competition of this sort in the European Union, we can react and we can suspend the relevant provisions of the agreement. The point is, however, much more important when you see that, the whole international trade, the whole exchange of goods and services is based on the comparative advantage. And that is the point which is quite important for such deals like Mercosur. We are going to buy more of the stuff which is produced in the Latin America, in Mercosur countries, which are produced more effectively and of better quality, and we are going to bring them to the European Union and sell the goods, the products which are produced here in the European Union more effectively and at a higher level of quality. So that is altogether going to benefit the societies of all the states, regardless of whether we are talking about the Mercosur countries of the European Union countries.
All right, and at the end of the day, that's what trade is doing, right? Like benefiting mutually, and that's how a deal come to be. And like we were talking about, after 25 years of negotiation, it does seem like at least the deal is going to be going through in its provisional form. In the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. I really appreciate it, and thanks for being with us on TV World.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.